Good afternoon and welcome back to Allergic to Stupidity. Take two. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope everybody's got a nice cup of coffee. And I hope everybody's can find a reason to put a smile on their face today. Today's chit chat is got to do with something that happened to me last night that I was involved in that made me as a parent, a teacher, an adult, a whatever person in this world look twice and be concerned. So I was working with one of my little guys last night. They're all little guys, no matter how old they are. And he's 9. He's grade 4. And he's in a very special situation in that his older brother is severely cerebral palsy. And like to the point he has a feeding tube. It's not just with crutches and thing. He's will always be need care because he cannot literally in any way, shape, or form take care of himself. Okay. And Make a Wish granted them a wish to a trip to Disney World. So they got all the bells and whistles and they had an absolute screaming blast. And Make a Wish made sure that because this child needs, like, you're only allowed to take 100 milliliters on planes, but he will need more than 100 milliliters of whatever before they got from here down to Orlando. So Make a Wish dotted all the I's and crossed all the T's. And they had a wonderful blast, absolutely fantastic blast. But this yesterday, when I walked into the spot where we work on our math and our English, he showed me something he picked up. And I said, "Oh, why'd you pick it up?" So he told me why he picked up that particular little Disney character from Disneyland. And then he looked at me and went, "I was scared." I went, "What? Why?" He said, "Because I thought ICE was going to come and take us because we're not Americans." Okay, take a deep breath, Bev. I said, "Hun, no." He said, "But he knows that Canadians have been arrested by ICE." And I said, "You're right. But this is the reason you didn't need to worry about it." And so I explained. Make a Wish would have made dotted sides across the T's and made damn sure nothing happened. Because it would look really bad on Make a Wish if that happened. I mean, they're phenomenal. Make a Wish Foundation is absolutely phenomenal. But what bothered me as a mom, as the grandma, as the teacher, as an adult in Canada, was that a 9 year old in Canada was worried about something like this. And I know his family doesn't really listen to the news because his mom said there's enough on our plate. We don't need to put all the rest of that stuff on our plates too. Like they do watch the news, but not a whole lot. Which means that this 9 year old was getting it from somewhere else, which probably were from other kids at school, other grade 4s, other grade 5s that he hangs out with at school, whose families may not be controlling what they're watching on TV. Now, if we go back umpteen years to when I was his age, we had the CBC, CTV, CHCH, because I'm in Southern Ontario. That's it. So the amount of media I saw was just not there. We were also in a more peaceful time. So my fear is this is what our little people are seeing. This is what our 9 year olds are seeing. And they don't have enough life experience to be able to distinguish between maybe that's not quite true or it is true. Like this young man honestly said that one of the things he was scared about besides ice was that the hurricanes would come and blow Disney World away while he was there. And I had to explain that hurricanes don't work that way. And they wouldn't have allowed you in Disney World if there was a hurricane coming. And Make a Wish would have delayed your trip if there was a hurricane coming. So, like, there's sort of things like that. But he was positive that only Florida gets hurricanes. And it's like, no. I had to pull the globe, point out to Newfoundland and said, my daughter lives there and she gets the tail end of the hurricanes. Even, oh, I said, and then we went to the other side of the globe and found the Philippines. I said, they get something called cyclones, which is exactly what a hurricane is. We just call them cyclones if they're in the Pacific Ocean, and we call them hurricanes if they're in the Atlantic Ocean, right? But thanks to media, and we're not blaming them, it's just that it's now more available, this is what these kids are seeing without all the pictures. And the hurricane part just made me smile. But it was the concern that ICE was going to come and take him away. And they were going to take mommy and daddy away. And they were going to take my big brother away. I was like, oh dear God, this is not what 9-year-olds should be worrying about. 9-year-olds should be worrying about whether or not they can throw a snowball at their friend in the playground without the teacher seeing it. That's what a 9-year-old should be worrying about. 9-year-olds should be worried about whether or not he's going to pass the quiz. Whether his mom's going to like the art project. Whether he's going to do well in his swim meet or his whatever extracurricular he's doing. That's what a 9-year-old should be worrying about. And yet our 9-year-olds, our 10-year-olds, our young teens, us adults have so much more to worry about. We shouldn't have to be worried about this. If you were somebody in the middle of it, so you're an American child or an American adult whose parents are immigrants or you're an immigrant, I can see why you're going to be concerned because you're right in the middle of it. But we have these kids in Ontario, Southern Ontario, who are worrying about these things. So we go back to what I said before, like months ago, where help your kids, help yourself accept the fact that these feelings are very real and they're very legit. Whether they're good feelings or bad feelings or something feeling somewhere in between feelings, they're very real. Go do something like finish the dishes, go for a walk, go physically do something, and then come up with a plan on how you're going to deal with it. How are you going to deal with the feeling? I'm terrified of ice. Simple. Make the decision. You're not going back. You're not going to the United States until this all cleans up. That's a simple solution. If that's what you're scared about. But get that. Help our young people or help your friend who's also might be terrified. Because a lot of us, I hate the fact we label these, but Gen Xers or boomers, us younger boomers who are still in the workforce, the tariffs are causing job losses. The millennials are in the same boat with their legitimate fears. How can we help them deal with those fears? How can we deal with the fears? They're real. But please, can we just all work together and help our our youngest citizens, not civilians, citizens go, you know what, honey, you let us adults worry about this. You just worry about, go have fun. Go play basketball. Since this kid happens to have basketball net at the end of his driveway, go worry about being friends with the little boy down the road. Right? That scared me. That this little person who was all of 9 years old was that worried. And I'd like to say it's just him. But it's not, because I have teenagers who are in the same boat. Now, they're older, they have a little more life experience and a little more reasoning abilities. So things like where my 9-year-old ICE was going to come and take him, my teenagers will just don't go to the States. That would be theirs. But they're still concerned. Are there going to be jobs? Like 5 years ago, the concern amongst my teenagers that I worked with was, will I ever be able to afford a house? Now what my teenagers are concerned about, is it worth going to post-secondary? Because there are no jobs out there. So we need to help all of us hold together. So today's rant was really that was scary to run into a 9-year-old that was afraid, and that he's not in isolation. And I know the family doesn't really watch the news, so that means other 9-year-olds and other 10-year-olds and the people he hangs around with at school are all have the same thoughts. And the older kids who carry their phones, 9-year-olds don't have phones generally speaking. If they do, I cry. But everybody's got the phone and everybody's scared because we're all seeing it. So we need to find ways to deal with it. And how can we? Can't solve the problem, but we can find ways to work with it to make ourselves and our younger generation feel like there's hope in this world. If you enjoyed the video, please hit like and please hit subscribe. Take care, folks. See you next time.